everyone, I'm Morgan, and it's been a long time since I filmed a video, and I've read so many books since last I talked to you, so let me tell you about 15 of them. Also, I didn't mean to leave for like so long, but uni is still kicking my ass a little bit, so it's fine. If I leave again, I am sorry, but I always plan on coming back. I miss talking books to you and just to anyone, though I do talk to a lot of my friends about books, so that's okay. But yeah, I've read so many amazing books in the last few months actually. I've been DNFing a lot also, so you will be able to see those like in a few weeks probably. But yeah, so many great books that I have to talk to you about. But as usual, I'm going to go from the one I like the least to the one I like the most. So the one I like the least is Deep Work by Newport. It's a non-fiction book about deep work, as the title says, and I read it because one of my friends recommended it. He said that a lot of the information helped him to really understand how to work and study, and there were some good ideas here and there, but overall this book was not designed for me. First of all, like, I think the target audience is 40-year-old men who are pretty rich, and so a lot of the examples mentioned like going off on a retreat, or like it talked one time about this guy who went on a helicopter to work, or some other thing. Like, you need a lot of money, and like not just normal people having money, you like a lot, and it was just so unrelatable that I was like, okay. But here and there were some good ideas about deep work and how you should not be too much on social media. Actually, I didn't like his argument at all. Like, he kept saying how social media was not important, that you should stop being on social media. And also, like, this book was written, I think, not 10 years ago, like somewhere around that, so I think, I'm not sure, maybe less, but I think maybe it's dated, or just that I didn't like the way the author talked about social media, because it's so not realistic. And I don't know, yeah, he kept praising all those people who are able to not think about social media and stuff, and like like, this is not the world we live in though, and you can be on social media and be a successful person, like that's very possible. And he also did mention some people who could manage, but overall, like, even the few points that he made that actually did make sense, he would say again and again in so many different ways that were pretty much the same, that I just got annoyed. And so yeah, I don't recommend it at all. Maybe, like, I think he should have written an article and just given the gist and not all of these examples. So yeah, but that's it. Whatever, I learned a little bit of stuff, I guess. Then next I want to talk to you about Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. So this book I've heard a lot about before I read it, and I thought it was fine. Like, some bits were better than others. If you don't know, so this is about a coffee shop where you can travel in time, but there are specific rules that you are introduced to, like in the beginning of the book, and one specifically has to do with this coffee and this cup that you have to finish. So you have the time of one coffee cup to go back in time, and so it's not everyone that can go back in time though. Like, first you have rules, but also it's about their life, kind of, and I think that was very interesting, and there are lots of really touching stories in it, but I don't know, like, in the end it didn't stay in my mind that much. Like, some parts were very emotional, but overall, I don't know if it's just the translation, because obviously it's translated from Japanese, but I was not a fan of the writing. Like, it was fine, but not anything amazing. So there was that one. Then I read In an Absent Dream by Shaun McGuire, which is the 4th book, I think, in the Wayward Children series, or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. it was fine. Again, like, I don't know, I preferred the 3 first ones, I think, to this one. I think this one, like, is set in one of the worlds, and I just wasn't really a fan. It was fine, but there was nothing really that fascinating about this world, or yeah, that stuck with me. So yeah, just a fine installment, though I'm always happy to get back into this world, and just in general I love Shaun McGuire's writing, so it was a good time, but not my favorites. I'm looking forward to getting more into the series always. Apologies if the angle changed, my camera died, but so I was talking about In an Absent Dream, and that was it. And then I read We Are the Ants by Shaun David Hutchinson. I listened to the audiobook and I thought it was good, like not amazing, but fine. So this follows a boy who is growing up. It's a coming of age story with a bit of a twist. You are not entirely sure if it's science fiction or not in the end, because it could be just his mind imagining things, and I thought that was really interesting actually, but other than that, I don't know. I guess, like, after I finished it I thought it was good, but now looking back on it I really don't remember it that much, so I guess it's not that amazing. But the writing is fine though, and it wasn't hard to read at all. Like, I threw through it. I'm not sure I'm really into it, but I did like the discussions about mental health and the bit about science fiction, though again not sure about it. So yeah, still an okay book. Then I read Attack on Titan, the first Colossal edition by Hajime Isayama. So it is a manga, and it is pretty well known, and one of my friends is so crazy about it, actually multiple of my friends, and so she lent me the first Colossal editions because she wanted me to read it, and I did in like a day or two, and it was really a lot of fun, honestly. And I do plan on continuing. It's just that I'm not really buying books that much right now, so that hasn't happened yet, but I do plan on it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Though I know it's available like online, not really legally, but still, but I prefer the texture, you know, of like paper, to see these illustrations. It's really not the same for me, and I want to read it in English, but the editions in English are like twice the price than the ones in French, and it's so annoying, and I don't understand it, but it's the way it is, so it's hard for me. I don't know what to do. But yeah, anyway, it was a fun book, that's what I meant. Then another manga, I read Death Note Volume 2 of the Black Edition by Tsugumi, Ohba, and Takeshi Obata. Still really enjoying that series. It's so fascinating, and a lot more dark than I remember, to be honest. But yeah, it's still really enjoyable, and here and there it's actually making me laugh, which you wouldn't expect because it's so dark. But it's like they're overthinking things too much. Like, if you don't know the story, so it's about L and Light. So Light founds the Death Note, and with the Death Note he's able to kill people just by putting their name, and how they die if he wants to, and if not, then they would die of a heart attack. And so he uses that to rid Japan of criminals and just bad people in general, but without actually standing trial or anything. And it's really interesting, but he becomes more and more righteous as time goes by, I feel like. And L originally is on the good side, I guess, of things, trying to catch him because he doesn't want people to die anymore, but he also starts becoming crazy. And so it's like I'm not really rooting for any of them. I just remember actually watching the anime and thinking that Light was cute. That's kind of it. But I did remember kind of the story, and I was with Light, but at the same time I thought it was El's cool. But right now I don't support any of them. Like, I'm just like, they're both crazy, but this is fun. So at least I'm continuing with that. So yeah, I will continue that series. And then another series, I have Blue by Maggie Stiefvater, so the third book in the Raven cycle. So I only have one more to finish the series, and it was really good. I love that series so much. It's so cozy and yeah, nice. I love the characters in it. Really, Blue and Noah and just everyone are great in that series. Really, like, it feels like a hug every time I read it, and I am going to read like the next one soon, so yeah, look forward to that. Then another series again is Mercy Thompson. So I read Night Broken by Patricia Briggs, so it's the 8th book in the series, so I'm catching up a little bit, and yeah, again, a lot of fun. This series is so exciting every time, like, so it follows Mercy Thompson, who can turn into Coyote, but she also has friends. So her husband, I mean, okay, that's kind of a spoil, but okay, whatever. Anyway, she knows people who are werewolves, she knows people who are vampires and other things in Fays, and little by little we learn more of the world, and yeah, every single installment is someone wanting to kill them for a different reason, and her struggling to survive, and it's a lot of fun. And also yeah, again, I love the characters, so it's so good, and I'm going to continue and soon catch up, hopefully. Then I finally finished Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. I've been reading that book for like around a year, and I finally finished it like on audiobook, and that was much better than actually reading it physically, because that book is dense, let me tell you. But yeah, it was very interesting, and especially like towards the end it got even more interesting. There was like a chapter that talked about the evolution of like emotions, and how like people have different levels of emotion that they're capable of just naturally. And the thing is, he didn't back that by actual information, so I have no way to actually look for research or something about that, so I'm kind of bummed. But other than that, I learned so much reading that book, just about history and just overall the world. But then again, here and there he was making commentary on the stuff that was happening, and I don't know if I loved his commentary. Like, I think he was trying to make it more interesting, but it just felt to me like sensationalizing. Okay, whatever. What is this word? Yeah, you know, like making it more of a sensation, when really like the knowledge and a bit of commentary was enough. But that's just like a little bit. But other than that, overall very informative and fun. So fun, yeah, I guess I love learning things, so I found it fun in a way. So there's that. Then I read Ghostwritten by David Mitchell, which was his first novel. If you don't know, Cloud Atlas is one of my favorite books ever, so by David Mitchell, and it's one of his most well-known. But the first book that he wrote was Ghostwritten, and it's super good. And I actually have also read If on the Winter's Night Travel, that I'm going to talk to you about just in a second, and it was the inspiration kind of David Mitchell for all of his books. And in the first one, so Ghostwritten, you can really see it, and that was really interesting, because I was reading like If on the Winter's Night Traveler right before or like after, I don't remember, like really close. So the two really, you know, were in conversation, and that's so interesting, right, when you can actually see inspiration within books. But other than that, so what happens in Ghostwritten is that you have multiple that seem like short stories following different characters in this world, but there's always a link, so you move from one to the other because within the story, like, it makes sense, they're linked in some way, and they're all in different parts of the world. And yeah, and just it follows in time little by little. Obviously some parts I felt were stronger than others, some characters I like better than others, but there was no one that I thought was completely uninteresting. But then again, I feel like this is a book that you will only like if you don't mind starting stories, which I know a lot of people do. Like, I listen to a lot of, you know, bookish podcasts and watch a lot of booktube, and some people mention that they hate starting books because in the beginning, like, it's very slow and you don't know the characters and it's like a lot of setup. And so in this book, and also in the next one I'm going to talk to you, it's like you're starting the book over and over again, and so if you don't like that feeling, that can be very annoying. And I don't love it, but I'm always open, and I think if you keep an open mind, every character can get into your heart really easily, and you just need to, yeah, keep an open mind. And yeah, I love it, and especially towards the end. So it was so interesting because for half of the book, so Ghostwritten, I was really enjoying it, but I wasn't sure, like, I wasn't hardcore loving it. As some characters were so fascinating, whereas others had not boring lives, but a little bit. And so yeah, you never knew what you were gonna get, but little by little the story comes together, and the ending, I don't know, I loved so much. Like, the last chapter is amazing, and well, like, I don't think it's a spoiler, but basically there's a third world war at the end, and I'm like, okay. Okay. Like, it's just so interesting. So yeah, highly recommend that one. It was super good. Then more amazing books. So I have Border Crime by Trevor Noah. So I have so much non-fiction that was amazing. But this one, yeah, so it's a memoir pretty much of Trevor Noah's life, and I listened to the audiobook where he narrates it, and I love Trevor Noah. This guy is he's so cool, and learning about his life was so fascinating, and how so he grew up in South Africa, and so he talks about the segregation there and how he was literally illegal because he was colored. So he like, people there, they called him white even though he is clearly not white, but it was illegal, you know, for a black man to have relations with a white woman. But that's what happened with him, and so he grew up not being able to go out because literally he was illegal. And so he grew up a lot of the time very sheltered with his grandmother, not being able to go out anywhere. And but he talks about it in such a funny way, but like, not everything is funny, obviously, like, at all. A lot of things are actually really hard, and he talks about all the crazy things he had to do to get out of South Africa, how he eventually moves on. But oh my god, he has gone through so much, like, I had no idea. And yeah, and by the end he talks about his mother and what happened to her with this man that she was dating or married, I don't remember, I'm not sure anymore, who was extremely abusive and almost killed her. And oh my god, like, I bawled my eyes out. Like, this part is, it's so crazy and infuriating also, because the person, like, he was not caught, like, he is still out there, and she is too. She survived. I mean, he shot her and she still survived, but like, no one did anything to him. And that's, oh my god, yeah, it's crazy. But at least she survived, so like, that's cool. But yeah, the last part of the book killed me. It was crazy. But yeah, highly recommend. And there were so many times also that he mentioned, like, growing up, how his first experiences with girls. So like, some parts obviously of the memoir are like really funny and light, whereas other parts are a lot more heart-wrenching. But overall, amazing book. Then so I have If a Winter's Idle Traveler that I mentioned before by Italo Calvino. So this is translated from the Italian, and I really liked it, as I mentioned. So it's such a crazy book though, like the whole premise. So basically it's about this guy who has gone into a bookshop, bought a book, came home, started to read it, but after a few pages, like it wasn't the book that he thought he was buying. So he comes back and he says, yeah, so this is not the book that I wanted. And the guy tells him, yeah, we know, lots of people have come and told us that you need to go, you can tell the person if you want, you know, at the publishing agent, that's not our fault, like this is the book we have and this is the book. And it's like, okay, so he goes there, and then there they tell him, yeah, actually, like there's a whole like almost conspiracy about the translator who, and oh my god, he ends up reading many different books in the end that are all supposed to be the book that he wanted, and in the end he just gets really interested in all of these stories, but he doesn't get the end. And within those books usually there's also a story, and oh my god, and like we follow different characters who are also embedded in this. It's fucked up, but it's so much fun. But again, if you don't like starting stories, you will not enjoy this, because it's just, and you never get the ending, right? Like it's not even like Ghostwritten where you actually get parts of each people's lives. Here it's just, you get a beginning of a story with no context whatsoever, not even the beginning sometimes, just like it's some part of the story we don't know, like is there something before, is there something after, no idea, you will never know. And also the beginning of the book actually is written talking to you. So it says, yeah, like relax, you're about to read If on a Winter's Idle Traveler, and so it's basically him talking to you and imagining what you're gonna say. But actually it's a little bit dated because this book is went out in 60s, 70s, I think, I don't remember, like long time ago. So what he says doesn't really apply 100%, but still it's pretty close, and that part already is very fun. So I would recommend you to check out just like the first few pages because it's so much fun. Just the whole thing, like a lot of times he is trying to talk to the reader, and this just fascinates me so much. And I don't know, like he just writes so well. There's just one scene in the book that I didn't love, with like a woman and how she wanted so bad this guy's dick, I guess, and I was like, okay, yeah, not sure, but still. Other than that, I thought it was so fascinating, this book, and I would recommend it. Oh my god, like I still think about it, this whole conspiracy, it's like so intricate, and it's like the more you read about it, the more confused you are, but at the same time I felt like it was so clever. I don't know, this is fucked up, that's all I mean, but I liked it. So that was that. Then I have another book from the Mercy Thompson series, Frostburn. It was the 7th of the series by Patricia Briggs, and I guess I put it there because it was even better than the 8th one. So, but I don't remember specifics because they kind of blend all together. But I guess this installment, because here and there I feel like Patricia Briggs doesn't have the same pacing. So the beginning is always really exciting and fast-paced, and then sometimes it starts to slow down. So even though it's still really fast-paced compared to the beginning of the book, I feel like it slows down, and some of them been disappointed. But really, like, the whole book was good. So, and this one is even better in the series. Then another non-fiction book I read, memoir, was Life as a Unicorn, A Journey from Shame to Pride and Everything in Between by Amrou Al-Kahdi, and I also listened to this on audiobook and he narrates it, so highly recommend. I got this recommendation from Simon at Savage Reads. He put it on his list of the best non-fiction books of 2020 that he read, and oh my god, I totally understand why. Like this is so good. So it's a memoir, as I said, of Amrou Al-Kahdi's life and him coming to terms with being gay and also Muslim and in the UK. So obviously he went through crazy experiences, and he talks about it in such an honest way and raw, and I just thought it was really amazing. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. Like, you have to read it. It's so interesting, and I actually bought it for one of my friends who is also gay and Muslim, and I thought probably he would like it because of that, that he would relate to a lot of it, because yeah, it's really hard being gay in a world that says like you should be a man and whatever that means, and all the toxic masculinity and all of that, but also that literally in the religion a lot of people think that you're gonna die if you're gay, and how to come to terms with that. And yeah, it was so crazy just how much he hated himself for a lot of it, a lot of his life, and that little by little though, after years and years, he came to terms with being gay and all of it by starting to dress up as a drag. And yeah, I'm happy for him though that he started to find things, and also with his family, like little by little, that it got better. It's so nice, but it was also like really hard to read, obviously, at times. After he talks about him growing up and the reactions of his family and some friends also, and the guys that he slept with at first, and the different experiences. It's so crazy, but in the end he gets out all right, and that's nice, you know. I like stories that end well, especially for real life. So yeah, it was a very good book, and there were so many topics that I cannot even summarize it honestly, but yeah, just read it, honestly, it's super good. And then the last book I want to talk to you about, and probably one of the best books of the year for me, is Why We Sleep, Unlocking the Power of Sleep and Dreams by Matthew Walker. So this I mean, it opened up non-fiction for me, I feel like, so it's one of the first that I read actually this year, and yeah, I've just had such luck with non-fiction, and I want to read so much more now. But this one in particular, it just was so fascinating about all the facts about sleep, what deep sleep is and the differences. And so Matthew Walker is a researcher, so it's a PhD in sleep science, and so he talks about the science related to that and all that, the research that he has done and that his colleagues have done. And wow, like I listened, and there was so much honestly that I had intuited, you know, about sleep and how I felt, but now I have actual proof, like science, you know, and that's so interesting. And so I actually listened to the audiobook, but then I really wanted a copy just to be able to go back and use the facts, because yeah, it's so interesting, and I can use those facts so many times, like with my friends. Really, I have been mentioning this book for months, over and over, because sleep is so important, and so much of the book is focused on that specifically, like the different effects of sleep. So deep sleep, which usually comes in the beginning, and REM sleep, so that's part of it. And then he also mentions different things that can affect your sleep, from stress, work, but also like alcohol, drinking, and drugs and stuff, and that was also fascinating. And then towards the end, he talks about the sleep epidemic and all the part of the culture that people should always be working and should not care about their sleep, and how crazy that is, and that the whole world should basically change their stance on sleep. And he just does a very deep argument about that, and how people should really change, and that some companies are changing little by little their stance about sleep, and that literally they're giving bonuses to people who sleep well, using different apps to track their sleep, and that it's actually improving work. And he talks about some studies that have been done, even for children also, because you have different circadian rhythms, so really you should not sleep at the same time depending on your age and depending on the person. And they said that by just pushing school by 1 hour, the scores of all the students were improved. And because literally, like when you're a teenager, you need to sleep less. You need to sleep like to wake up later, and so getting people to wake up and be at the school at 7:30 or 8 is like crazy. It's like waking you up at 3 a.m. for us, and so just lots of stuff. I learned so much with this book, and yeah, I really recommend it. Like, if you read anything, read this. that's all I have to say. But yeah, just I want to read so much more nonfiction, and I will. So yeah, that's all I have to say for today. So thank you for watching. Please tell me if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or what you have been reading these past few months, and I will see you in another video. I hope so. Goodbye. Dream I know, deep up my feelings feel